All right, we're good. You guys ready? Sweet. All right. Am I recording? Okay, I am. Good. Okay. Welcome to episode 53 of the Secret Caliber podcast. Once again, my name is Mo. With me, I have Corey, and I got Derek. Hey guys, we are back from our Extra Life campaign. That was what, 2 weeks ago? A week ago? About 2 weeks ago? It was a lot of fun. If you didn't catch it, we've got three videos, I believe. The full one from day one, most of day two, and then I had to stop the stream to fix a delay in it, and then like the second half of day two is there. So it's all there in its full glory. If you want to go back and watch it, um, I'm gonna try to edit out just the individual games. I got super busy afterwards, after the stream. So hopefully I should be able to do that here in a couple days. If I remember correctly, you still can donate to the Extra Life campaign if you want to. I don't know when the deadline is. I should probably look that up. But if you can't, then it's obviously over. But if you want to go ahead and donate, you still can. So what have you guys been up to since our return from the great cold north that is Minnesota?
were exiled, and you basically start a revolution. You do a jailbreak. Basically, a bunch of people get out. You go straight to the emperor and go, "You, fuck you," and then you kill him. And then he goes, "Wait a second, you killed me," blah, and disappears. And then all of his cronies just basically go, "Oh, well, we want to keep power, so instead of praying to this deity, let's do this deity." And so a new god rises up and you have to stop him, and you can't stop him. And so your brilliant mind goes, "What should we do? Let's go back to the place where we were exiled. There's a ton of crazy shit there. Maybe something to kill a god." And so after that, I was like, okay, so we're going to go back to Ray class, and you go back to Lionsgate, the same place you did in the first act. And it's literally just a reskinning of the first act.
Yeah.
Disappointing. Super disappointing. Like, I know that they said that you were going to go back to Ray class. I expected that. But it's literally the same zones, just with I don't even think the tile set's different. I think it's literally the same tile set with slightly different lighting and some different enemies in there. It's super disappointing. It feels like they said that they were going to put this new content in, and now I'm just replaying content anyway. Just story-wise, it's not rehashing it, make you play through it. Story-wise, there's a thematic reason to go back. Just still, there's a thematic reason. So that's a little disappointing. That aside, though, they did make a lot of other changes, like the Ascension now since there's a lot of acts in a row, instead of repeating, they have the same ones for your first, but then they have a different set for different levels of difficulty after that. And I'm guessing the last one has to do with the in-game maps, because it seems like there's a ton of them, and I doubt there's that many temples. So you probably find them in some of the maps, or maybe one kind of map. They did do a lot of skill changes, so if there were particular skills you thought were bad, they did a little bit of rebalancing, made them good. They added in a few new ones that I really like, and I mean, in that game, it's kind of hard not to make something broken still true. You pretty much can just go, put my points here, and oh, look, I'm a broken marauder that just runs around, everything explodes that I touch. Still pretty much true, so if you want to just find the flashiest cool thing, you'll still get pretty far in the game. I'm at that point where you pretty much need to party up with someone, because as soon as you run into something that resists you, you just either beat your face against a wall for an hour, or you just walk past it and hope it doesn't follow you. That's kind of lame, so I just need to buddy up with someone and finish that out.
So, quick note, she's talking about Path of Exile. For some reason, the computer didn't record your audio for the first maybe 4 minutes of your thing, but I fixed it. But I got the majority of it. So she's talking about Path of Exile, in case you're really confused about the context of what the conversation is.
Yes. It's a free-to-play MMORPG in a Diablo-style click-a-thon. So if you're interested at all in that kind of thing, it's been a big new update. The new season is great. They introduced the things called I want to say Harbingers, but that might not be the right word. But they're like a unit that you cannot do direct damage to. It instead spawns enemies, and you kill those enemies, and when you kill the enemy, his health reduces down. And when you destroy them, he drops some resources that you can turn into things to modify your equipment. Pretty cool. It's not that game-changing, but it's an interesting league. And if you've ever played in Path of Exile or other similar games, they do seasons at different monthly intervals, and you make a character with whatever special things going on for that time period. And once that time period ends, your character's kicked into the normal league and a new league starts. So I would say, since it's their first one, I didn't expect them to do anything crazy with the league, so we'll probably see something more innovative in the future. But as of right now, I think it's fine. And I just hope that the acts that I go to later on aren't simply just rehashes of older levels. Because that 5th act was really good. And I thought that was going to be what the content was like, but I think it just set me up for disappointment with the 6th act.
Yeah.
It was just the way they presented the map. Usually, whenever you start up the map, you only see levels that you can go to. When you started up this one, you saw the jail, and you saw a pathway winding through the map to get to the palace. And then once you got there and beat the Emperor, then a bunch of other pathways showed up on the map, and you could explore out from there. And I was like, oh, okay, that is a much better way to present the exploration of this level. Instead of just blocking off areas and having you go find keys, you just made it so that when those areas you first go through them, it doesn't make more than one door, but then the next time you come back, there's multiple exits to it. Thought that was a pretty good way of handling that. But,
And on the disappointment side of things, on the update being a lot, at least Act 6 being a big reskin, I think it's partially just a case of the expectations that were set up by the presentation of the upcoming update. It was hyped up a whole bunch. Whereas, what we had before was go through the acts and then go through the acts again, just with higher difficulty, doing the exact same quests in the exact same places. And so a reskin with different quests is still an improvement. It's just they set the bar up here, and it only improved it that much. At least, again, on Act 6. Like you said, Act 5 sounds like they hit it out of the park on that one. So hopefully other acts post-6 will also be good. At least some of them. It's 10 acts now, or...
Yeah, it should be 10 acts. The original was 4, So that is a lot of content that they had to add in, and also content they had to change to match this new style. So I completely understand that it's difficult. That probably that transition from the old setup to the new setup is a huge undertaking. Totally gets that, but I agree. I think it's another case of the hype train just getting a little bit too far ahead of itself. Yeah. But still, very good game. Would still suggest going out and getting it, especially since it's free. You don't have to spend any money on it and still have a good time.
Speaking of free games, I've stumbled across another free app game that I enjoyed quite a bit. It doesn't have a ton of replay value. You kind of play through it, and then, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty much done with it. If you're a real, challenge yourself, new high score kind of person, you might, replay that way. But that's really the only replay value it has. But it's free, so, is X hours of gameplay worth all $0 of your dollars? Probably. So the game is called Underhand. It is a card game, but it's not really what I expected. That's part of what got me to download it. The other part was the really cool art and the premise. Art's awesome. But the premise is you are starting a cult to summon an evil god. That is your goal. That's how you win. Is you summon the evil god.
Okay.
And the art's cool. All the cards have the art's cool. Kind of a stained glass sort of look to them. It's not actually stained glass, but it's kind of in that way where it's very blocked off, angular pieces of contrasting colors, and it's got a very kind of dingy old look to it. It's really cool. They do a solid job on the art. It's really, really cohesive throughout. Even with the different styles of the different gods you can summon. And that's basically what the different levels are. So it's a card game, but it runs a little different because it basically plays like a choose-your-own-adventure with challenges in it. So your hand of so all the cards you draw from the deck, every card is an event. It'll be it'll have the title of the event, and then you'll flip the card over, and it'll open up into 3 panels, and you'll have 2 or 3 choices of how to address that event. And sometimes it's not just a choice, because all the cards you actually get in your hand, because you never draw any of these, they get flipped over and played as an event card. The cards you get in your hand are resource cards. The resources are money, cultists, prisoners, food, as well. Those are kind of the main normal ones, as well as suspicion and relics. Relics are wild cards. It can be anything else, but also sometimes you need a relic in order to summon a god or stave off an angry god. So they're like wild cards that are also, at the same time, extra super special for certain things. And then suspicion is just bad. You never use it for anything good.
It just accumulates.
It's what's that?
It just accumulates.
Kind of. One of the negative things about it is you have a soft cap on your hand size. This is part of resource management is a big deal. So I'll start with what you do with the resources, what you're trying to do with them,
okay.
And then get into the dangerous side of resources. So you get an event, and you'll have different options on how to address that event, but some or all of them will cost resources to do. A lot of times you might have basically a no thanks. I won't gain anything because I don't have anything to spend right now. But it might be one of the choices will have this cost, and you'll get this result from it. So it might be the traveling salesman wanders by your cult headquarters, obviously lost, and you have the option of either trading them 2 money for 1 food, or trading them 2 food for 1 money, or saying no thank you, go away, and giving them nothing for nothing. And you can kind of anticipate what you're going to need. The regular event cards pop up like that. It's always the traveling salesman, or tax day, you have to pay the tax collector, or recruitment opportunity. You can either just get one cultist for no resources, or you can get like three cultists and 2 suspicion by like advertising and trying to recruit really loudly, or lay low and get nothing and spend nothing, that kind of thing. The special ones though are chain events. Those are the ones where you actually summon the god. They'll have between 3 and 6 stages. Every time you complete one stage, there'll be an option, at least one option, where if you can pay the cost for it, it will shuffle the next stage of that event into the deck. And you have to go through the deck, and then you reshuffle your discard in, and then go through the deck, and you'll get that event there. And so for each of those 3 to 6 stages, you have to go through the whole deck to get to that stage, or at least half of it to get to that stage on the last time.
Right.
And it tends to get more and more difficult as it progresses. And with the summoning the gods, that's one of the ones where it doesn't have typically an option to just go, no, thank you. Because one, that's how you win a round, is you successfully summon one of the gods. And after a while, they'll all be in there. And you can kind of pick like which one you want to summon. But you're eventually, to beat the game, you're trying to summon each of them at least once. Because once you've summoned a god, when you start a round, you can pick a certain number of blessings, and each god that you choose to get their blessing, it shuffles 2 beneficial cards themed after them into the deck. So they're added in along with all the random cards, the random event cards that are in there. So it changes it up depending on what other cards are in there with it and which god you're going for.
So you win after you cast or you summon all the gods? No?
I'm referring to kind of excuse me. I'm referring to kind of beating the game as having summoned each god at least once. Basically having completed each one. That's also how you progress. At first there'll only be one god in there. It's like the tutorial god, the god of beginnings. And then after that, you have the option of summoning technically one of 2 different gods. One of them's hidden, though. It's kind of in a cool way. I'll slightly spoil, but talk that up in a second, because it built into the negative side of the resources. So one of the main negative sides of resources is you have a soft maximum hand size of 15 cards. You can go above it. There's no maximum, but any time you have more than 15 cards in your hand, every time you flip over an event, you have a chance of flipping over greed, which greed is an event where you either pay 1 relic to satisfy greed and make it leave you alone, or you lose 5 cards from your hand at random. Or or if you can't do that, then you can't remember if you lose or if you just suffer the Wrath of the Gods. Wrath of the Gods is just a really horrible, shitty card where you have to pay a bunch or you lose because the gods are pissed and they smite you if you don't appease them.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so if you have too many resources in your hand, then you have the possibility of running into greed, which you don't want to do. So you kind of try and sit, between like 10 and 14 or so cards, anticipating that. One of the major drawbacks of suspicion is they just sit in your hand, taking up part of your, that 15 card cap if you're trying to avoid greed. The other thing though is if you ever have, I'm trying to remember if it's 4 or more or more than 4. If you have more than 4, if you have 5 or more suspicion in your hand, every time you flip a card, an event card over, there's a chance that the police will raid your compound. And in that case, you have to either use like 5 cultists to fight them off, or you pay like 5 gold or like 4 gold for money to bribe them off, or you lose. That's the third option, is you lose the game. The other one, if you ever don't have any food resources in your hand, every time you flip an event over, there's a chance that you will get the Red Hunger. Or no, it's not that. It starts out with just desperate measures, where you either basically you don't have any food in your hand, so you have to sacrifice, I think it's one or two cultists or prisoners. Basically, you resort to cannibalism. You have the option of either like eating somebody or losing. And after you've done that, it shuffles the Red Hunger chain event in. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's really cool. The Red Hunger chain event is the way you summon one of the gods, the Wendigo. So when that comes up, the next round, the next shuffle through the deck, it gives you the option of either giving in, basically, just one more time, or you eat somebody, or you give in to your desires, and it shuffled. Basically, just one more time is basically you get rid of it, or you can give in to your desires, or you can stave it off, in which case you just shuffle it back into the deck. But if you give in to your desires, it puts in basically the next step in the event, which is an event series for summoning the Wendigo, which is pretty cool. So you end up like going down the path of cannibalism in order to worship the Wendigo and summon him into the world, which is cool. So you have to basically intentionally do that thing you're trying to avoid, which is run out of food and then start eating people in order to summon that one god. It's pretty cool. But the other one, yeah, and all the different gods are really different. They've all got a really different path. There's like the Wendigo, you have to eat people. There's one where you go into you have to like go on an expedition through the rainforest. This is the first real god after the tutorial god, the god of beginnings, which is like a Bestalt or something like that. But it's you have to go on an expedition through a rainforest and find an old ruined temple, and make your way through there. You have to deal with like plagues and monsters and stuff like that, issues in the jungle until you summon them. And then there's a cursed whale, which is just you go out fishing and you have to like whenever there's only 3 stages in this one, but the second one is a chance of what you'll get, and you have to keep going over and over again, basically just fishing every round until you find the whale, and then you have to like sacrifice a bunch of cultists or prisoners to it, and then you can summon into the world. But there's also one which is it's Shaiti, the Jasmine Dragon, which you have to. It's the god of like prosperity and wealth and tea. And you gain their attention by starting a tea shop, and basically just being really successful. You have to like you have to deal with it is like amass a whole bunch of money and then give them your wealth and stuff like that. But it's very public, so you have to deal with a whole bunch of suspicion on that one. So it's really cool. There's a lot of trade-off stuff and planning for like, okay, I know that there's this thing, like there's this because every time you play, you'll get a bunch of random cards thrown in with the god events and whatever blessings you have, and so you might know like, okay, there's the relic auction is in here, and so I want to save up 5 gold so I can buy the relic, or 5 money so I can buy the relic, because I need a relic to summon this god later and stuff like that. But I know that tax day is also in there, so I have to have extra money to pay the tax man so I can still have enough to auction over that, stuff like that. If you know that famine is in there, you're going to lose a bunch of food, you have to get extra food so you don't end up running out, shit like that. There's a surprising amount of strategy, and the theme is all really cool. Art's all really well done. Like I said, only real drawback is that it doesn't have a ton of replay value, but it's a free game.
What was the name of the game?
It's called Underhand.
Underhand. That's what it's called.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. I enjoyed the time it took me to beat it, which was playing it off and on for about a week and a half. So.
Okay. Cool. So the League of Legends World Championship Finals were this last weekend, like a couple of days ago. And the final spoilers, if you haven't watched it for whatever reason, it was SKT versus Samsung Galaxy in the finals.
Ooh.
And it was a disappointing finals. Samsung Galaxy whooped SKT 3-0. Like it was a smash. And dude, watch there's tons of videos. Like watch the reaction of all the players after game 3, because Faker, the mid laner for SKT, he broke down crying. Like it was the worst thing, and I was like, "Yay, SKT lost!" But oh no, like he was just emotionally shattered. Like it was so bad. I was like, "No, don't cry, Faker. It'll be okay. There's always next year."
Well, yeah, the weekend we were over there, we were watching Samsung Galaxy absolutely destroy the team that was on while we were getting set up.
Team WE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the favorites to win, weren't they? Again.
No, SKT was favorites to win.
SKT was okay.
Yeah, although everyone said that they looked much weaker because Misfits took them to Game 5, and Royal Never Give Up took them to Game 5. And so people are like, SKT still looks strong, but they look far weaker than, previous years. But no one was expecting a 3-0 blowout. Like, that surprised everybody. And it was really heartbreaking because Game 1 and 2 were stomps. Game 3, SKT actually had I want it's like a 5K or 7K gold lead, and it got blown away in 2 team fights. Like, it was super upsetting. And so there was
That's all it takes though in those games. Yeah. All you need is like get 40 minutes into a game and then lose a team fight or 2, and then every advantage you made in the first part of the game is all gone.
Yeah. There was a point in which Samsung was going after a Baron, right? It's like I think game 2. And they're beating it down, and SKT's Gragas, I think, the big fat guy with the beer. Is that Gragas? I think it is.
Yep. Gragas.
So he jumps in to try to steal it, right? So then Samsung turns on him, and I swear to God, he CC'd for like 5 seconds. It's airborne. It's like airborne, suppressed, airborne, suppressed, airborne, stunned, airborne, suppressed. And then he steals the Baron. Like, they all turn on him, and they don't kill him. He's chain CC. After they're done, he's like, "Oh, you guys done? Smite." It was like, oh, really? Did that just happen? Like, that was probably the most exciting part. And then, like, game 3, like, Faker he didn't get caught out. He got flashed on, and they got instantly deleted. And then it was just all down here from there. But if you want to watch the Championship Series, watch SKT versus Misfits and SKT versus Royal Never Give Up, because those are honestly the best 2 matches out of Worlds. The quarterfinal and the semifinal. The final sucked. Like, don't worry about it. It's dumb.
Did Samsung Galaxy drop a game?
Yes, I think they each dropped a game. Well, let me back up. I think SKT dropped a game in the group stage, and I think Samsung.
No. I mean, like, did Samsung Galaxy 3-0 everyone, or did they?
Oh no.
Have some...
I think it was shit.
Well, if they didn't, that's fine. It's just that from what I saw of them, they looked like they were on fucking fire.
Yeah.
And hearing that they also 3-0'd the second place makes me wonder if they just like had a clean sweep all the way through bracket.
No, well, I think they 4-1'd WE, and I think they 3-2'd Cloud9. I think that's what happened. But yeah, those 2 matches definitely watch. Oh, and speaking of which, the Samsung Galaxy versus Cloud9 game, apparently they had some audio issues, and the game volume was literally 500 times louder than everything else. And then So I'm guessing they mic'd the crowd, or there's a mic pointing at the crowd somewhere, so you can kind of hear everything. But in that particular series, like it's also the loudest thing, and you can barely hear the commentators. Like, and then like the comment, like so the shoutcasters are trying to do their thing, but no one can hear them. So then they go to the commentators talk about the match, and like half of their mics work, and the other half keep cutting in and out. Like it's super bad. Like I was like, this is terrible. I can't watch this. So.
Characteristic. They're usually, really on that.
Really
stuff.
good, yeah. It was just that one day, just shit was not working.
Some intern got taken out back and shot.
Put them down. We wouldn't know anything about audio problems. Or,
no, not at all. We're
high class operation like
Speaking of which, I think I'm going to go into competitive Invisigun Heroes. Clearly just too good for the average Joe Schmo.
You were pretty good at that game.
It's because I was screen looking.
Watching everyone's screen. Yeah. Full game.
I know. I think it was an actually pretty fun game, though I think it would only work in that setting. I couldn't see myself sitting at home playing online against other people.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be the same at all.
I also don't know how it would be competitively. Like, it would either be great or really boring. Like, I feel like if it ended up being really turtly and, I don't know.
I think if there was a mechanic to force people to move, like, kind of like in a lot of games recently where the map size reduces in order to force people to get closer together as the game goes on, or if there was something like you're only invisible as long as you're moving. If you stop for more than so many frames or a second or so, then it could just reveal your position. Right. Stuff like that, I think, would make it an actually competitively viable game. But you're right, like, just in playing a little bit of it, I would not play it in tournaments as is, because you would probably get, like, if it's 1v1, someone would just stand there and wait for the other person to move and take advantage of it. If it's a 4-person game, then a couple people would probably do that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah. There'd have to be a mechanic to stop you from just standing there, because it would come down to a stalemate where they're both sitting there waiting for the other one to move and show themselves, and neither of them are going to move, because that's how they'll die. If they stand still, they can't die.
Yeah.
You can't have a no-lose turtle situation, so...
Yep. But, I mean, for the time we played it, that was pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
Other games that we played, like, I was actually really impressed with the Sonic Racing.
I was too.
I did not expect to find that game as enjoyable as it was. I thought we were just going to be riding a train wreck into a wall. And, our play of it was sort of a train wreck into a wall. The game itself is pretty interesting. Yeah. I like the idea that whenever you go around a lap, the level changes a little bit. Sometimes you end up in a completely different vehicle for certain sections of it. Like one time you'll go through on a boat, and another time you'll be flying over that part of the level. That's really cool. I really like that. Too bad we only got to see a little bit of the game before I got so drunk I had to run away and throw up. I was trying to be a responsible adult, though, but
did not drink and hoverboat.
Oh, though, god damn. Here's the bottle, he tips it up, and then, like, all of the liquid hurtles out of it into his stomach. Like, air has to, like, take time.
I'm pretty sure he just swallowed it and then coughed up an empty bottle. Just the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't Drink and Drive Tramp 2017, right here.
Yep, you are the champ.
So I got Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
That is a really fun game. It is super fun. So unlike previous games where you need to collect like 120 stars or around that number, it is usually. This one has over 900 freaking power moons, which is their equivalent of stars. So there's a fuck ton. But Nintendo is like the best when it comes to level design, because so in this version there's actually a critical path from point A to point B throughout the level. And so it kind of funnels you through, and you have to get certain power moons until you get to the boss, and you do the boss. But after you do the boss, the levels change slightly. Like they're either add or subtract things to give you more access to the entire world to play in it. And while you're going through the critical path, there are some times where you'll be running and you look to your left and you're just like, I've played video games for 30 years. That's an indication that there's something over there. And you walk behind there and, oh, look, Power Moon. Or you're like, that rock looks suspicious. Oh, look, Power Moon. Or like this, or you just turn around and you're like, oh, Power Moon. Because it does that a lot when you first start out in each level. So there's a lot of just like you kind of just fall over power moons on your way to the end. It doesn't really get challenging until you beat it the first time, because then 2 additional zones open up, and now you have to go back and go through all the other ones and find them, and then that's where the challenge is. It's like, okay, where are you hiding fucking 80 power moons in this stupid level? Like, come on now. It does one clever thing where, let's say you take a pipe, you go into a subzone, you go into a time trial, for example. Let's say you go through and you beat it and you get the moon. You said, okay, you exit that subworld and you go back into it. Your little hat will say, oh, hey, I remember this before. I think there's one more power moon in here somewhere. And so it'll tell you, at least in subworlds, if there are more moons for you to get, which I love because I went through a certain subworld because you start to learn that if you go into a subworld, there's at least 2 power moons somewhere in there, right? So I went through a certain subworld and I got 2 and I left, and then I went back on accident, right? And Hat was like, oh, hey, there's one more power moon. And I was like, really? Where in the hell in this subworld is this 3rd power moon? And so that's really helpful because then you're like, okay, now I have to really, really be diligent because my gamer skills obviously aren't enough to find this 3rd one or whatever. The movement's really nice. Jumping is still really, really good. Like, that still doesn't change. The bosses are actually pretty fun. There's a random boss toward the end that I don't want to spoil, but it pretty much comes out of nowhere. And I was like, oh man, this game is awesome for this random ass reason.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
All right, so my roommate has it, and we've been watching them play through it, and there's a couple things that I really like, and some of them are like no-brainers. I've wondered why Nintendo hasn't done this from the get-go. One, when you get a power moon, it doesn't kick you out of the level.
Yes.
You grab the moon, and then you continue through the rest of the level, so you can grab multiple moons on the same play of that level. Why they haven't been doing that from Mario 64 on, I don't know. I mean, I do know because sometimes the level changes depending on what star you're going for, but it kind of sucks that it's like, okay, you achieve this, now you get pulled out, and then you have to turn around and jump back into that level. Yep. So they cleared that up. Everything changes dynamically in the level, so once you collect the moons, or like he says, you beat a boss, then the level changes, and you just continue from there. Really like that. 2, game overs. Doesn't happen. You don't.
Yes.
You have lives, kinda. It's all money. So your coins, you can collect up to 999 coins. Probably even more than that.
9,999. Oh wait.
9,999. Yeah. And every time you die, you lose 10 coins. That's it. So you basically don't run out of lives. And if you die a lot, you still have a negative impact on your game in that, it subtracts from the total that you're using to purchase things in the item area. But it's not like game overs where it's like, oh, you failed this one challenge 3 times in a row. Well, now you got to go back to the title screen. That's your punishment. No, why are we doing that? That's fucking stupid. So glad they did that with the moons. Glad they did that with the lives. Everything else, what Mo said is right. Like, the mechanics look beautiful. The movement, the ability to jump, wall jump, throw your hat, jump on the hat, bounce off the hat, wall jump, throw the hat, jump over that. You can scale mountains with just you and your hat. And if you've got the execution ability, then you can just basically go wherever.
And
it's really good.
There have been a couple of Power Moons where I'm pretty sure I sequence broke them. Like, I did not get them the way they're intended. And I was like, oh, I guess I've got it. Kind of thing.
The speedrunning community is already having a fucking blast with this. And I'm going to be excited to see it at the...
I know.
The AGDQ. Or did AGDQ already happen?
No, that's in January. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a segment for it in January, and I'm going to watch that because I bet they'll have it like down to 30 to 40 minutes because they are already like, hey, look, you could just go through the whole level just by doing this over here on this, and you pass this, and then you throw this enemy into that and put the hat on it, and then jump out of the hat out of it, and then you can get over here like...
Yeah.
The game's been out a week. Chill out. Someone's like, all right, this is my first playthrough, guys, and world record. Well, yeah, I guess, because whatever. But they're really into it, so I'm
going to do a speed run, like every Power Moon speed run. Just like 800 Power Moons, 30 minutes.
New record. But yeah, I agree. Odyssey is a pretty awesome game.
Yeah, super awesome. Something that is not so awesome, Stranger Things 2.
I was wrong.
You have not seen it, Corey, correct?
I have not seen season 1 or season 2.
It's entirely worth your time.
Would you mind it? I'll agree to that. Would you mind spoilers? Do you care at all?
We can do a no spoiler talk. Or Corey can watch me yell at you being wrong.
I could wait for someone to put up like a peace sign or something like that.
All right, fine.
Okay.
You watching, this is your cue here that there are going to be spoilers for Stranger Things. If you haven't watched it, go fucking watch it. Just pause the video and go watch both seasons right now. And then come back at the timestamp that Mo will forget to put in the notes.
Yep.
Okay. Spoilers incoming. You've been warned.
So, Stranger Things 2 is not bad. It's not as well written as season 1. So, my biggest issues are Maxine, the new girl that comes in. Max. And episode 7.
What was the name of episode 7?
Lost Sisters, I think. It's the one where she goes to Chicago.
What's wrong with that episode? What's wrong with Maxine?
All right, no. Maxine is not the problem. My problem is she serves, the only reason she's in this season is for 2 very critical plot points. One of them is so that Eleven gets mad at Mike when she goes back to the gym, and the second one is in the last episode where all the kids are like, we need to go burn go into the thing and burn it so that Eleven can go save him, right? And Steve is like, no, that's dumb. The only reason why that gets resolved is because her brother goes looking for her, punches Steve, knocks him out, and the kids steal the car and go do it anyway. She's only there for those 2 major plot points.
That's like saying that the only reason Dustin is there is to find Dart, and then that's it. Like, she's still a character.
No.
She has value as a character rather than just like plot mechanism.
Okay, so here's my other issue with season 2. So season 1 deals with a mother and a brother and the loss of their brother son. It deals with Hot Daddy Cop, Hopper, who is dealing with the loss of his daughter while trying to help them find Will. And it deals with the kids hanging out with Jean Grey Jr. trying to find Will. All that is wrapped around this otherworldly horror thing. Like you
Yep.
get those concepts in this kind of environment, right? Okay. So everything that happens between all the character development happens. So all the character development happens within that environment. My issue with Stranger Things 2 is that all the character development and kind of the plot development with that otherworldly thing have become separated. Like Max, yes, Max is a character. Yes,
they aren't as closely knit as they were. I wouldn't say they are separate. They are not as close as they were in the first
but
season.
Given the gravity of that they're trying to portray in season 2 of the shadow thing, they ramp that thing up to 11, but nothing really happens with it. So
I think a few things happen.
Nothing of importance. Like things happen, but I'm still left with like, why? Like
you mean like the shadow thing wasn't doing stuff, or
like okay, so we get the impression that Will is trapped somehow in between worlds. Okay, fine. And then he's seeing this giant shadow thing for reasons. We're like, okay, fine. So then he runs away from it, and then he decides to have a staring contest with it. And then he loses staring contest, and he gets infected or whatever. And I'm like, okay, where's this going? You don't get
it was using him as a gateway into our world. The Shadow Thing's goal is to take over our world, and Will was a tool to do that.
But how or why or okay, so
how or why what? Like what's I don't know what you're missing. What are the Shadow Thing's motivations?
Yeah, like what
that is part of the intention. Okay, I got some of this, but it was reiterated in the kind of the behind the scenes, and or I just want more thing they made, which is Beyond Stranger Things 2,
okay,
where they talked to the creators. The Shadow Thing was put in there. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in and we'll parallel this. I was gonna let you go, and then I was gonna go, but we'll get some parallel here.
Okay.
Stranger Things 1 and Stranger Things 2 are different. I know it's season 2 and season 1 of the same series, but that doesn't really stop me from being able to view them differently. Stranger Things 2 is as good at being itself, season 2, as Stranger Things 1 is at being itself, which is season 1. They're not trying to be the same thing. They're two different things set in the same world with the same people.
No, right. Okay.
And so Stranger Things 1 was really close in. It was small scale. It was personal. There was the Demogorgon. There was one critter that was crawling through the fucking walls of their house in their living room, grabbing people. As the director, I think it was. No, it was one of the writers. One of the Duffer brothers mentioned, like, season 1, the Demogorgon is like the shark in Jaws.
Okay.
It comes out of this unknown world beneath ours, grabs someone and drags them away into it, and then you're left just terrified that where's it going to happen?
Right.
Stranger Things 2, they ramped it up because as terrifying as the Demogorgon was, it was an animal. It was acting on instinct. It was it was acting out of hunger. It was just eating people. It was a shark. Stranger Things 2, they wanted an intelligent evil from this alternate world. What would that be like? And that's where the Mind Flayer, the shadow creature, comes in.
Right.
And as far as its motivations, they intentionally did it in a more Lovecraftian manner, where this is an outer being. Its motivations and thought processes are unfathomable to us. It is so alien. It doesn't even think the way we do by any kind of comparison, like Mind Flayers. That was why they used that metaphor from D&D. That is how Mind Flayers were. They're from the outside realm, outside of the multiverse that all other things are from. Like demons are from hell, and elementals are from the chaos. Mind Flayers are from something beyond all of that. They're so weird and alien, and they're stuck here and they're trying to take over. That was it. It was trying to get into our world and just take it. and it was, it's the intelligent, big bad, as opposed to the animalistic one. And they did ramp up. It was larger scale, and in general, I've probably mentioned this before. People who listen for a while might realize, but I often prefer the lower scale.
Right, I'm the same way.
I like season 2 and 3, season 2 of Supernatural, not season 10. I like 8th MS Team, not Gundam Wing. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Alien instead of Aliens 3.
Yeah.
So,
that's a lot of opinions.
Yep.
I know.
I don't know why you expected this to be quick.
I didn't. Commenting that
Okay.
it's a lot of opinions.
Okay, take those off. You're gonna get spoilers. You need to watch these shows. All right, continue. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so
you can go on back to probably telling you to convince me.
I can see the argument that they're separate things doing. Season 1 and season 2 are each doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I can agree to that. And I'm not saying that season 2 is necessarily bad. I enjoyed watching it. I just had issues with the writing. Did you ever watch Heroes?
I watched a bit of the first time they tried to do Heroes. I can't really say season 1 because there was Heroes and then other Heroes. After they stopped being Heroes for several years and then came back and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it got
I watched
weird.
the first season and a half of First Heroes, and
Okay.
I vaguely remember it.
Okay,
But only
so Heroes was kind of the same. Heroes and season 1 of Stranger Things have very much in common. They're very personal things and different storylines that eventually come together at some point toward the climax, toward the end. And both of their season 2s have the same issue where they try to take it to the next level and then they try to expand it, and the writing suffers for it. There's a lot of time. Excuse me. I don't like it. Well, let me say what I consider bad writing. If I have to sit back and ask, as a writer, why did a character do this? Or as a writer, why is this plot device here? To try to make...
if you feel the need to meta it to understand
Correct, right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm with you there. It should deliver it all in the package.
Right, and the first season, I didn't do that. The second season kind of left me with that. Like, the Max character, for example. I get what she's trying... I get, as a character, why she's in there. She's there to deliver some kind of dissonance for Eleven. She's there to give the black guy's name, I can't remember what his name is, but to give Lucas, right.
Yeah.
To give them some kind of backstory. Right, exactly. So I get that. I just think that kind of delivery is sloppy in the context of that season, and given everything else that was already kind of built around those characters. I
will say on the point of Maxine, where I felt I like her as a character.
Yeah.
I think the things she was used as a device to create in the plot were good. My only criticism, and it might be a little bias involved here, but because I'm big on strong female characters and such like that. But she felt like she was a bit more a plot device than a character, but only 55-45.
I can agree with that.
With a slight leaning. I just wanted more Maxine and less she's there for the love triangle. She's there for this part.
Yes, and I
tilt a little bit.
And I think the fact that I saw that kind of thing, I guess that tilted me a bit more, because I was like, well, now I have to think about it, and now the magic's kind of gone away now.
Yeah.
Because now I have to explain
I will add in, though, and this is something, the ending kind of shows this pretty clearly, but it's all but confirmed in the Beyond Stranger Things 2. They wrote season 2 because they wrote season 1 as Stranger Things.
Yeah.
They wrote Stranger Things season 2 as season 2 of the next few seasons of Stranger Things.
Yes, that is.
It's got a little bit of The Last Jedi in there, because The Last Jedi felt like the opening to a movie. Like, it didn't really feel like a movie, and that's like not nearly as bad. Like 10% of that in Stranger Things 2, but there's some of that there. It felt like it was leading up to, obviously.
That's my issue with episode 7. Is episode 7 is nothing but like a full episode that will lead somewhere into season 3.
I don't know about that, no, because it led to episode 9. That's where it led to. Or what was 9 the last episode? It was 9 episode series.
Yeah, 9. See, freaking Anthony brought up the same thing. Like, that is not wrong. That is a true statement. I don't think that's very good writing, because the season already was kind of rocky. Like, it was going places where I was like, I can see where you're going, but now you're just kind of meandering here and there and things like that. And then episode 7, so the thing that really bugged me was episode 6 ended on a cliffhanger. You're like, fuck yeah, shit's actually starting. And then 7 rolls around and I'm like, why is she in Chicago? Like, okay, we're just gonna grind to a halt for this.
I liked episode 7, so my feelings of episode 7 are mixed but largely positive. Episode 7 was different. It was unique because they did go like it was a side quest. It almost could have been like filler, except it was nothing but character development. So it's the opposite of filler in that regard. But it was like, 11's going to take a left turn at the plot and come back later. But it was all encapsulated in one episode. It was like this like side novel of 11 going off, and also it was also good. Like, in and of itself, it was good. Like, that could have been like a short movie.
I wouldn't call it necessarily good. It's not bad, but it does the same thing where I have to meta that to be like, oh, this is the episode where she has to get all powered up and use her emotions to go back and defeat the Mind Flayer. Okay.
That wasn't, to me, that wasn't the episode. Like, there was a whole lot there that wasn't that. Like, that was the last, 15 minutes of that episode. Before that, it was her emotional growth. It was her, becoming confident in herself, becoming a person, really. Because 11 in season 1 was, they said it in Beyond Stranger Things, she was basically like E.T. in E.T. Like, she was this thing the kids were running around with. She becomes like an individual. She gets a lot more personality during and after season 7, because there was a bit more there. Like, she had a lot more personality in season 2 than in season 1. In season 1, she was fresh out of the lab and didn't know how to be a person, and she's kind of learning that. But episode 7, she gets a lot more of that, and she becomes Jane. She's not just 11 anymore. She becomes Jane and 11. Those two things are the mix.
I wish that, because what you can do is you can, for the most part, you can delete episode 7 and kind of sprinkle that through episodes 1 through 6 and achieve the same thing. And they were kind of on that path, because you get the emotional tension between her and Hopper, and then again with Max. So I just feel that for
her and Hopper together, those scenes, every single one of those scenes.
Oh yes, great.
I agree. I had that thought when I thought back on that. First, I had to remember that was one episode, because I would have sworn it was 2 episodes. A lot went on there. Like, I went a whole fucking journey, and came back again. But first of all, it was obviously a conscious choice to go, this is going to be the episode where we do something totally different on purpose. It's going to be all about this. And I know that they knew they could have done it the normal way and sprinkled it out throughout the episodes. But I see them choosing to do it, and better or worse, I don't know. It's different, I find it interesting.
I'll give them. I'll applaud them for doing something different. Like, I'll give them that much. I wasn't a fan of it, and I think episode 7, because a lot of people didn't like episode 7, and I think it's a culmination of, I think, how rocky the writing and the plot was between 1 through 6, and then 6 at the end of it starts to pick up, and then you're thrown a curveball in episode 7. You're like, what is going on here? Like, I think that was a major. If the writing had been more solid through 1 through 6, I think 7 wouldn't have been such a.
There was definite upswing at 5. It was ups and downs before that, because there were some definite good things.
Yeah.
5 and forward.
So
earlier.
So I don't want to keep bagging on it, because just personal, like I don't think the writing is good. Like, the writing's not bad. I just don't think it's as good as the first season.
Season 1 was fantastic, and they set the bar really, really high.
Yeah.
And in season 1, they had the benefit of making just the thing they were making.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, they were making season 2 of X.
Yeah.
And that is difficult to do as well.
Yeah.
It's just going to be difficult to do as well.
Yeah. Just to wrap it up so that we're not Corey isn't bored over there. So Bob and Winona Ryder, those characters are fucking phenomenal. I love their chemistry together. It's amazing.
Yeah. Also, you remind me of Bob. Like, this is obviously a theme throughout Stranger Things, but season 2 seemed to like really drive it home. Like, Stranger Things 2 is like geeks save the world. Like, Bob is fucking amazing. Dustin was incredible, and then kind of got too incredible for his own good and sort of like rocketed off into the wall. But
before I lose my train of thought, there's one major thing I did not like. So in season 1, they show Hopper as a very, very intelligent person. Like, he's very, very intuitive and can you just, there's no dialogue. Like, you can see him thinking like, oh, this is it. Okay, got it. That was mostly contained to him as a character.
He's a detective character, basically.
Right, and sometimes the kids have some little things on their own, like when they decide the Upside Down is under the D&D board, that kind of thing, right? Everybody has those revelations in season 2, and it's like, stop! Like, just stop! Like when they're trying to figure out where the tunnels go, and Bob's like, oh, this looks like a lake, and it's like, everything looks like everything else in here. Like, how did you
know? Like, that was Bob's thing. Like, Bob is really smart.
Yes, but in the season, everybody's really smart. Like, everyone has those revelations.
Yeah, there were there were a few of them that felt forced. The rest of them was just like, these are seemingly very mundane people who are unexpectedly capable in these scenarios where it would normally be. Because you have Steve, you have the jock with the bat, fighting off the monsters.
Yeah.
But that's usually the star of these kinds of movies. Like in a typical horror movie, it'd be them,
right?
Protecting the geeks throughout the whole thing, and managing to save one or two of them by the end of the movie. But then he was just like he was the fighter in the party. But the wizard, the cleric, and the paladin and the sorcerer are all totally legit. There were a few times where they were trying to get everyone's cool moments in there, and a couple of them felt forced. I'll give you that. I wasn't that bad on it. I don't know. I felt like they did Bob really well. They also you should check out Beyond Stranger Things. They talked about how Bob was originally not supposed to be a big character. He was supposed to just be like they wanted to have a dorky boyfriend for Joyce, and then fucking Sam from Lord of the Rings sends them a tape. But they went over this, like he didn't call them. He sent them a tape, like an audition tape, like everyone else did. And they're like, wait, what the fuck? What are you doing in this basket of tapes? Get him in here and write seven more chapters of dialogue for that character.
One more thing, because I have one more thing. So I did not like Nancy's storyline at all. At first, I thought, because it starts out as she feels bad because she thinks she's the reason why Barbara died, and to be honest, she is 100%. So then I thought, oh, cool. Is this going to be is she going to have to go through something to rectify her guilt and try to find out? It's like, oh no, she's going to break up with Steve and go out with the other guy for what reason? And then this conspiracy theorist guy is there to make them bang? Like, why are you here? Like,
well, that was two different things I saw, and they overlapped at that point. But I will give you, they started out a lot. Like that was her whole character was, I killed my friend, and I can't tell anyone that she's dead.
Yeah.
Let alone deal with that. And then then they did that instead, which I thought was cool. But then it just sort of like, and okay, we did that. Now I'm good.
Right. So that was like episode 4, and then episode 9 comes around, and like that gets resolution at the last 5 minutes, and I was like, really?
That kind of just, and we're done with that. Gonna do something else now. We'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
I don't think we're necessarily supposed to love every character. Like, I think some of this character growth is them becoming less objectively likable. Like, Nancy's got issues.
Yes.
And I don't think we're supposed to love her through all of that. I think we're supposed to realize, like, yeah, she's got some issues.
I wish that were better written. It's one of those things where, okay, I understand why this is happening, because I'm not supposed to like her. But I wish that would
been emphasized a little better.
Yeah.
Frankly, I wish it was more than 9 episodes. I wish we had, like, a 13-episode series. Like,
I would 100.
That could be done.
Yes, I think what they tried to do was they went bigger, but didn't have enough volume to go bigger in. That's what it kind of feels like.
A bigger computer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Overall, I still thought it was really fun and 100% worth the time it takes to watch it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is to me an apples to oranges comparison, but I'll say, if I'm forced to put them on the scale together, that I like season 1 better.
Yeah.
If I liked season 2 better than season 1, it's gonna be difficult to pull that off.
Would it be a good thing to suggest people watch season 2 first before season 1? Really?
Nope, not at all. No, season 2 builds off of season 1. If you watch season 2 first, you're gonna think it's crap for like half of it, and like some interesting action-y horror stuff for the other half. But like no, like most of the good in season 2 is built out of season 1. Definitely don't watch season 2 first. No.
Yeah, that is right. Because the good bits, Hopper and 11 and Bob and what is her name? Winona Ryder. I don't know what the character's name is.
Her name's Joyce.
Joyce, there we go. Yeah. Like, that is really good with the history of the last season. I can agree to that.
I will say, and this is kind of a thing, like, so I'm going to make a metaphor here. I think we're post-spoilers. Are we post-spoilers? We just sort of talk overall?
Yeah, I think we're post. Okay.
Yes.
That was the signal.
Okay.
As we discussed, I will have a seizure. So we're still talking, but we're going to stay high level and spoiler free from here out. I'm going to get all vague and metaphorical like I do. So my comparison to kind of my metaphor. Have you watched Guardians of the Galaxy? Nope. First and or second? Neither of them? Really?
No.
Oh. Well, do yourself a favor and we'll go watch them both. I mean, they're super fucking good. Okay. So Guardians, I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is at least slightly better than Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And some people just like shit in their hand and threw it at their screen. And I'll talk to you folks for a moment. But the reason I'm using this as a metaphorical comparison to like, more just like a case study kind of example for how my feelings for season 1 and season 2 of Stranger Things. Fucking focus camera. In Guardians of the Galaxy 2, everything was definitely better than Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which was amazing. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is up there. It's fucking great. I didn't expect 2 to be better, but I walked out of the theater saying, yeah, I think it was better. Like, I had to think for a second before I made that commitment, but yeah, I think 2 was better. Even though, like, everything in it was amazing except the main plot. The Stardad storyline was absolute ass. It was just shit. It was, like, it made me almost dislike Peter Quill, who's a character I really like a lot. and it was basically like I talked with my girlfriend for a while with Lori, and I came to the conclusion that like the reason it's just total ass is because you're basically just watching Peter Quill like work out his issues. He's basically like watching his therapy sessions. That's all it is. Like the plot wise, you're like, yeah, of course he's evil. I realized that like 3 seconds before he came on screen. The fuck wrong with you? Your daddy issues are so fucking terrible. Get over it, dude. Go back to being funny. God damn. But everything else in the movie is complete fucking gold, and that's why when people are like, "It's so bad," you know, yada yada yada, how bad the Stardad storyline is. Like that's like the fifth thing I think of when I think of the movie, and it's like the main, you know, the main plot, you know, quest line. It's like, you know, bagging on Skyrim because you didn't like the main quest line in Skyrim. I'm like, well, don't fucking play it. Play the other 35 hours of gameplay. Like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you've got fucking Rocket and Yondu's storyline together with the Ravagers, which is fucking amazing, and I was sobbing at the end of it. There's Gamora and Nebula's interactions, which were great. And fucking Baby Groot being fucking Baby Groot all the time. Like, it was great. And then the Star-Lord's off with a Stardad, and they're, I don't know, something. I don't care. Like, Stranger Things 2, the kind of the main plot, and it's less obvious there because it's not as like segmented as Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was. But I kind of feel that way. Like the main like horror vein wasn't as really there and visceral and great as it was in season 1, where it was just you're constantly on the edge there. It permeated the whole thing. Again, because season 2 is probably setting up for at least 2 or 3 more seasons after 2. But everything else in it was super good. All the bits and pieces were great. It's like a mediocre steak with like the best sides you've ever had. Like it's still a good damn meal. So that's kind of how I feel about the two of them. Like, you know, there was some lackluster in the middle, especially compared to season 1, which is fucking incredible. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. There were just chunks of gold they scattered through there that I think definitely make up for it. A large majority of the falling a bit short of the high bar of season 1.
Yeah, I'm a bit more lukewarm to it. Like I can definitely say that there were some good bits. Like there were definitely some good bits, but the bad bits pull me out so much of the overall story that I'm like, I can see why you did it, but now we mentioned before. Now I'm being meta about it, and I don't like being meta when I'm forced to be meta to understand something.
I also really need to watch things twice. Well, I have to watch things a second time to be critical. Because when I go to watch something, especially a movie, especially if I literally go to a movie at a theater, I want to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Like I know there are people out there who really like hating a movie. I don't. Like if I'm watching a movie, especially if I paid however much money to go sit in an uncomfortable seat surrounded by strangers somewhere else that isn't my living room to watch a movie. I want to fucking enjoy that movie. I don't want to do all that shit to not like it. So right. I try to help the movie be entertaining. I crank my suspension of disbelief all the way up, and I'm like, all right, you and me, we're in this together, give and take. Let's go. We're gonna have a good time. Movie, you and me. And if I watch it a second time, then I can be critical of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm often very optimistic on my reaction of first time watches. But my goal is to have fun at least 3/4 of the time I was sitting there watching it, and it's not that hard to pull that off. Though plenty of movies don't.
Yeah. But yes, Stranger Things. Watch both of them. I binged fucking Stranger Things too. Yeah, do it. It's a great series.
It's only like it's not even 9 hours. You can watch all of that in the time you should be sleeping.
I most definitely did. I finished watching it and I was like, fuck, it's 4 a.m. I gotta be at work in a couple of hours.
Yup.
Oof. Well, Is there anything else? I don't think I have anything else.
I had a story.
Well, oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah. Corey's back in the game. Hey,
hi, Corey.
Welcome back
to the Secret Corey podcast,
Welcome
where
back.
I'm going to sit here and talk. Okay, so I think like a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, I saw a notice on Reddit from one of the subreddits that I follow that somebody had come up with a new way to sell apps on app stores. And what it's called, or at least the video was called, Scientific Revenue, where basically you are going to make your price for something modular. Now, not just like putting things on sale or, giving a discount or maybe doing that for certain people. The way it would work is it would aggregate information about you, AdSense, stuff like that, to basically get an understanding of your spending habits and then change the price of an app to make it more likely for you to buy it. So at times when you are very likely to buy a game, it would increase the price of it so that they make more money off of it. And when you're less likely to make a game, it advertises it to you at a lower price to try to get you to invest in it. And the idea is to just increase, reaching, like getting people to buy your product.
And clarify for me, because you've probably looked into it more than I have because you shared the link and I checked it out a bit. But I thought they were talking about the cost of in-game purchases based on your habits in the game.
It may be specifically with that as well. I just saw
both or either, but yeah, I mean, obviously, it's there. You could do it with either, so it's worth discussing because it'll happen if it's worth doing.
Yeah, if it's at that level as well, then it's just even more. Well, I guess that was my objective take on it. My personal take is, holy shit, that's terrifying. Because to me, if I want to buy a game, then you're putting me in a position where I should probably buy the game when I'm financially destitute, like just before a paycheck. And then once I get my money, then I'm going to end up paying more because they know I got my money now. If they've been watching my spending habits, then I'm going to have to game the system in order to get a better deal for me because of this modular pricing. On top of that, they're really exploiting that gambling habit that's been started with the loot crates and everything like that, which is probably the primo fear from this.
I was going to say, you combine that with... this system for in-game purchases that are, gamble addiction, latching in. It's the finer cut drug basically. You're getting, the stronger drug when they're getting resistance basically.
So is this the same one that Activision Blizzard patented, or is this the same thing? Because
I don't think it was, because it was a different company, but
I believe this was a different company. However, I wouldn't be surprised if similar systems could be patented, or maybe they just are going to sell it out at royalties. But go ahead.
So the one that I know of, because when you shared it, I thought it was this because I skimmed over and I was like, oh, I know all about this. So Activision Blizzard put in a patent for a system or a program. So let's say you're playing Hearthstone, for example. You like playing Control, for example, and that the system kind of says, okay, how you're playing, here are some cards that are more control-y, or will increase the odds you get in these more control cards when you buy packs, which now influences me to buy packs so I can get those cards. So yay, cool. So let's say that Control counters aggro. Their matchmaking system now will put me against more aggro decks to reconfirm that my purchases were a good idea. I like playing Control, now I'm winning. And so then after a while, they start putting me against my counter to my deck, which then reinforces me to buy more cards because now I'm losing.
Yep. Oh, you better get stronger. And they can also just put you against stronger enemies, stronger opponents, and weaker opponents as well. Doesn't have to be like, if the matchmaking hides the the rank of your opponent. Or even if not, you could just be like, because there's always a range. You're like, I got matched up against someone a little harder this time. Like, what if you didn't just get matched up against someone harder this time? It's like you haven't bought packs in too long, so they're putting you against someone who's harder.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Like, it's shitty.
And so
I could see, like, not only the problem with feeding off of people's gambling addictions and also trying to weasel and strangle as much money out of people as possible by getting them when they have money instead of doing sales and just having a set price. But how, like you're saying, how pernicious you could be with personal info about someone, their spending habits and their gaming habits, and how you could use that to manipulate them into doing what you want. Like, I'm already very against microtransactions and DLC and stuff. I'm probably not going to spend money on it. But if there's anything I ever want to get, I then have to start wondering, like, well, is this the price of it? Or am I being handed a price that they think I'll pay for it?
Right.
Is that a higher price or a lower price? You then have to wonder, like, if I don't even know if that's, I don't want to say it's illegal, but I know if you go into a store and a customer comes up with like a pair of shoes and says, how much is this? And you go, $50. And then they go, oh, no. And they sit it down. And then the next person walks up and goes, how much for these pair of shoes? And you go, $30. I'm pretty sure that's on some level illegal. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure like discriminating price like that is not something entirely legal.
Or if someone in like, old worn out jeans walks up and asks for, how much is a pair of shoes, you say $35, and someone in a suit walks up, you're like 80.
Yeah.
That, again, whether or not it's illegal, it's certainly immoral.
Yeah.
And
certainly shady.
Which is weird how that works out in capitalism. I'm of so I split this in two halves. On the one side, I'm basically whether or not this will work, kind of the pragmatic side, whether this will function. I'm kind of
mechanically.
I'm of two minds on this. One, people will just game it, especially in the in-game transactions thing. You're like, okay, well, I have to, people will work out the right cycle of purchases, so you can. If you're the kind of person who wants to spend tons of money but doesn't want them to jack up prices because they know you'll spend tons of money, you have to like follow this pattern of purchasing to where you can like still spend as much as you want but get the best price you can, and then people just game it. But on the other hand, the people who know the system is there will game it. Most app games that make their bucks off microtransactions do so because they sell 10 million copies, and then like 0.8% of the players, of those 10 million players, will spend like $100 a month on it, and the majority of people aren't gonna know this is there, especially because this is gonna be marketed toward casual games with microtransactions and stuff. So it is most effective when the customer has as little info about the game and the system involved as possible. And that, to me, segues to the other half of this, is definitely immoral. It is definitely unethical to do this. Like, this is really, really effective as long as the customer doesn't understand. We are taking advantage of their lack of understanding. Like,
yeah.
And you add into that, like, just like getting the info, the personal info about this person, their spending habits when they're most vulnerable to being taken advantage of, because that's really what this is. That is like, I mean, people know I'm full on a socialist. Like, I hate money, I hate capitalism, whatever. But
I know you got a hard on for it, but I feel like this thing is anti-capitalist because part of capitalism is conscious consumerism, and you cannot be a conscious consumer if you are literally being withheld information. That's why I said I'm not even sure if it's legal, because I feel like that is some kind of fraud.
Possibly, but I mean,
okay, imagine this. Imagine if it's like a stock market and you're selling shares to one person at one price and shares to another person at another price. That would completely destroy the stock market. It would not function like that. Extrapolate that onto the rest of the economy. Prices don't work if you're not basing them off of supply and demand. If you're doing supply and demand on an individualistic level, it's no longer an economy. The currency means fucking nothing because all of your prices are based on individual transactions between that one person and the company. There's no relative value of your currency at that point. That's why this is so terrifying. Like, on one level, yeah, okay, so maybe app purchases will be a bit more malicious because of this, whatever. On the other hand, if this gets sent out everywhere and this is considered legal to do with any kind of purchase anywhere, there's going to be no economy. There's no way to understand the relative value of something if everybody's individual value of it is completely different based off their personal info and spending habits. It doesn't work. You can't have that in an economy.
It's straight up Orwellian. Like, this is the dystopian present.
So I'm hoping it's illegal and someone can stop it. But if it's not, then, I mean, we already know that pre-orders and DLC doesn't stop people from throwing money. So
yeah, it's big enough, it'll probably fall through the legal cracks.
What if... So let's put this on a smaller scale. Let's say Blizzard uses this for Heroes of the Storm. They don't record anything outside of the game. They only record your purchases with your spending habits within the game. Would that system... Would you be for or against the system if it only recorded spending habits within an environment?
I would find that significantly less malicious, just because if you are a game developer and you fuck up your own economy, regardless of what mechanic you do that with, it's your problem. But if this is a tool we're talking about being used outside of that, I think that's incredibly different.
Right.
In that example, though, let's say you do Hearthstone, you can't trade, though, so that might be an okay system for that to happen in. But imagine this in Magic the Gathering, Mo. Imagine if somebody can walk into a store and buy a couple of packs for one price, or buy specific cards for one price. And when somebody else wants the exact same card at the exact same time somewhere else, they're in the exact same condition, it's okay to just say, oh, no, it's going to be a completely different price. If that's true, it completely messes up the economy of that game. There's still going to be, like, when cards first come out, the relative value of the cards is unknown. But after the meta develops a little and everything kind of settles in its place, it would mess up the economy if some people got Black Lotuses at $5 while other people are paying $30,000 for them. I mean, that's a ridiculous relative comparison.
Right.
But the same principle applies. If you don't base your prices off of supply and demand, and you start basing it off of other things, you're already going to be a little bit off. It's going to be a little bit unfair to some people. But add on to it that basically there's no concept of supply and demand at a larger level than an individual, then your prices are just going to be meaningless. It's just going to be a matter of time before everyone is so divergent from each other and what they're paying that it
collapses in on itself.
Yeah, because why would you ever... You couldn't reasonably trade anything because you wouldn't reasonably know the value of it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
and I'll address it a different way.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll answer your question with a question of an example. Your example in question with a different example in question. Because I'll just put it this way. If I paid careful attention to your behaviors and the way you were acting and tried to time requests to you so that you would be most likely to give me the response I wanted, wait until you felt guilty about something to ask you if you'll help me move. Wait until you're, wait until figure out when what day you get paid on and ask you the day after if you can spot me $20 and stuff like that. Would that be a positive aspect of me as a person? Would that reflect well on me ethically? to kind of follow the mental state and financial state of a person to try and get the most out of them in a personal relationship.
I mean, obviously. Oh wait, is this for me or Mo?
I mean,
it's in response to Mo's query.
I would say mostly at the end of the day, what really matters outside of actions are intentions. And if you were doing those kinds of things to help set me into good spending habits, like after my paycheck, you say, hey, can you spot me this money? And then you say, sure, and I give you that money, and you literally just hold on to it for a week. And then when I'm in a bad situation, you go, hey, look, that money you gave me, I've been saving it. You need to do this on your own. Something like that. Like, if there's a moral to the story, then whatever. But if we're talking about literally just...
No, like, I want some money.
Yeah, if that...
I won't ask you on Thursday because you get paid on Friday. I'll ask you on Saturday because I want you to give me money.
If your intention is to get money out of me, then I'd say regardless of your method, you're probably doing something very immoral.
Yeah, and if I use my if I work to gain a personal understanding of you, your mental state, like I said, wait until you feel guilty about something to ask you to help me, because I know that you feel guilty and you'll feel like you need to because you can't do that again. You can't let someone else down. So of course you'll come help me move, and I do that because I don't want to carry my shit myself.
Right.
Like I that's immoral. Like to me that's straight up immoral. And to hear this, I see the same context. Like you are gathering information about someone so that you can most effectively take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm. I'm torn because on some level, the consumer does that to a company. For example, on Steam, I would never buy games when it starts coming, when it approaches summer or winter, because I know for a fact that all the games are going to go on sale. Because that's what happens. So on some level, I think it's fine for that back and forth between consumer and the business, because we both want the same thing. The business wants to sell me something at the highest price for good A. The company wants to sell at the highest price it can, and I'm going to get that good at the lowest price it can. And so we're both working together to try to find some middle ground between the two of us. So in a very broad sense, we're both trying to do that.
You're both trying to get the most out of each other for as little as possible.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
I understand that is how capitalism works, and I will say that I still feel shitty about that. But
right.
That's normal capitalism. It's over there. It's fine.
But I think when the problem occurs is when it leans too far in one direction, either on the consumer side or the side of the business. And I think with this particular example, I think it's the business when the odds of the business winning are too far. Like the freaking, what am I trying to say?
The balance.
Thank you. Fuck English. The balance is clearly not balanced in this way. And
well, it's because you literally take the knowledge of value away from the customer.
Yes.
And just tell them what you think the value is.
Yes.
That is the prime reason I am terrified.
The business almost always has more resources available than the individual consumer. This not only predicates upon and relies upon an unbalance of information, where the whole system is about you collecting shitloads of very well curated information about your consumer and hiding all of that from them. It is like almost completely the entire mechanism is an unbalance of information.
Right. And I'm okay with the curation of information if that information is known to the consumer. For example, whenever you go grocery shopping at Fry's or Cub or whatever, you get the silly little thing that saves you pennies on the dollar or whatever. That's all information they're collecting. And I think at multiple points in time, I've actually gotten coupons from Fry's. It was like, hey, we see that you bought these things. Here's some coupons for them. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But
there's a difference between like it's the same thing. Like Google sees that I search for D&D shit a lot, so it shows me banner ads for my local gaming store.
Right.
Like that's just like catered advertising. It's not getting as much personal info about me as possible, and then behind the scenes turning invisible knob
right
to, pull the wool over my eyes.
I think the most analogous way I could put it without getting too far is in the example of the Steam sales. We all know that certain stores take advantage of holiday pricing, and what they'll do is say, this is 20% off, but you didn't see that they jacked up that price by like 20%, and then they show it getting slashed down back to where it originally started. So that's like one of the things that's really scummy about pricing. But you are still seeing the price that they say it was at and the slash down. This would be like saying, you want to buy this game? It's 40%, or it's on sale for $40. But they don't tell you how much the sale is for. Right. They don't tell you how much it's off. And what you would do is buy that and then later find out it was already $40 and it wasn't on sale. You've taken away some basic info from the customer that makes it impossible to make an informed decision. That is the scariest thing I can think of to do in a capitalist system, is to remove the customer's ability to understand what they're putting money towards.
So let's say, what about if they were to take this information and give you time discounts based off of that? But they tell you, hey, this game was 60, now it's 40, based on that collection of information.
If it was transparent, I think that's completely different. If you could see that there's a base price and how much you're getting it discounted at, and maybe even for what reason, that would be fine. I don't think that would happen, though, because the whole point of it is to occasionally increase the price, put a premium on it to try to get more money out of it. And there's no way in hell a developer is going to show you being charged that premium, because then you won't buy it. That it's just not going to happen. I mean, okay, there's probably going to be a whale or two out there that'll sink money into it, even if there's a premium on it. But it's not part of the system that they're aiming for.
Okay.
Yeah. The little, like, because the thing Corey linked that I watched, it was basically an advertisement for this system catered toward developers. Like, we make this system, you should use it in your game. This is why. And they had little, like, animated examples, and it would show, like, this thing for this person is $295. This thing for this person is $195. This thing for this person is $595. And, like, and the person who paid $595 was wearing, like, a suit. And, like, obviously, basically, like, they spend a lot of money, so just charge them more. They won't know what the other two people pay. It's an app. Like, that's the thing. Like, it functions fully off of an unbalance of information. Like, you collect a ton of info about all these people and all their spending habits that you have access to, and then you hide everything from them, and you wouldn't even say, like, this is on sale for some amount, and how much it is. It'd just be, that's the price. You wouldn't tell them there's anything going on. It's like, that's the price you get, because we know you've got more money and you'll spend more money. So we're just going to charge you $8. So we charge them $2 because they don't have any money.
So let's say they show League of Legends has a skin for $100, and they show it to 3 separate people, and one of them gets charged $50, the other one gets charged $75, the other one gets charged $90. Let's say that it displays to each one of them the original price and what each of them are being discounted. Is it a problem that each one of them are being discounted differently, even though they all know what the original price was?
The first question would be, why is there a difference?
Yeah.
Was it arbitrary? Is just like, you won the sale lottery, 1 out of every 10 people who buy this, who open the store, get a sale. Like, if it's just random, fine. It's a weird way to do a sale, but fine.
Right. Well, let's say this it's based off this system that we are talking about. Like, it has curated all this information, and said,
to me, it's the same as the guy walking into the store wearing a suit instead of the guy walking into the store wearing, like, worn out sneakers. You charge him twice as much because he's got twice as much money.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
that's sleazy.
if I understand the question correctly, instead of having a base amount and sometimes charging more and sometimes charging less, you just start out with a ridiculously high price and give incremental amounts of discount off of it. That way everyone gets to see a starting price and then a discount price from it. And the more rich or big spender you are, the less discount you get.
Right, but nobody is aware of the discount that each other person got.
I would still say in that system, the same problem arises, because at that point, the value of the skin is meaningless. This number don't mean shit. And again, you are uninforming your customer because this is not the price. We all know this isn't the price. The price is here. It's just that some people are paying here and some people are paying here.
Showing it's not more transparent, it's obfuscating the truth.
Yeah, I was going to say that could be even worse because you're basically, instead of telling a half-truth, you're just straight up lying to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that could make it even more difficult because people would have a concept of relative value that would be completely off from the reality of it. They'd say, oh, I got this $100 skin for only $40. That's a good price, when really the skin was $30 and they actually paid a premium for it, thinking they were getting a massive discount. That, such level of manipulation and subterfuge should be illegal. I am not like a person who's always about, yay, regulations. That's not like the thing that people know me for. But this thing should be illegal. And if it's not illegal, we should probably make a law that says that something like this is illegal. Because if it comes out, I really think this would hurt the economy and ultimately everyone else in the process. There's no way you can cut taking info from people, using it to manipulate the price of something, obfuscating the actual price, and then trying to make as much money off of that as possible. It's just, no.
Yeah,
that is
whereas I am the godless money-hating hippie, and I am like, well, yes, fuck all of that extra, but on top of that, it is downright sleazy and unethical. It takes what I feel like the biggest chunk of the pie of the graph of what is Western, the Western world's capitalism. The way the biggest chunk of the pie works, which is really big corporations with way, way more capability than their consumers, leveraging that massive difference in capability. And this is an even more efficient way to emphasize that disparity in their favor. It's taking what's bad and making it worse.
And just from where Mo thought of that idea of doing a set price that's really high with the discount, I was like, well, what they could do is, if it can't be legal on an individual basis, all they'd have to do is set a price to a zip code and basically go, okay, we're going to aggregate these people's spending habits, and then anyone that gets online from the zip code gets this price. And that'd be a good way to skirt around that and probably make it legal. Yeah. That I can instantly see the workaround for that.
Mm-hmm. I can see the immorality and the illegalness of it, but this system, I'm intrigued by self-learning systems, when you Google search something, you're like, I'm gonna buy Wolfenstein, for example, and then you buy it and you go on its way, and the next day you get a billion-ass Wolfenstein. You're like, well, it's too late now. I already got the game. You can stop with that. You can show me other things. So I'm always interested. There was a story where I think a mother was online or something, and she saw a bunch of ads start come up for baby products, right? And she figured out that her daughter was pregnant because of that, because she was searching for baby products, things like that. So I think it's very interesting, and I want to know how far that machine learning can go. So I'm more
better things with than fuck over consumers. So
No,
like,
no,
I love genetic
I know.
algorithms. They're great. Pandora uses a genetic algorithm to help me find music I've never heard of. These guys use it to suck every fucking penny they can out of.
Right. So, but I'm separating, you know, the machine from the user. Like, I'm intrigued by the machine itself, and I don't know what it can do. The user can go fuck off. I don't care about that.
Genetic algorithms are great. They're awesome. They can be and are used for a lot of awesome stuff. Even like really obscure, weird, awesome things, like going into like scientific research and aggregating data we've collected from like the past 200 years, putting it all in, and then having it process it all and give projections, and it's awesome. And you could also use it to fuck over consumers.
It's kind of like every tool humans have come up with.
Yeah.
You can use a hammer.
I can use a screwdriver to hang up a shelf, or I can stab my neighbor to death with it.
You can use atomic radiation to turn water into steam and churn giant turbines, or you can turn a city into a speck on the map. Yay! That's just kind of like the duality of human intelligence.
Yep.
We just kind of have to try to keep those in check that try to abuse it. But hey, that disparity of power, doesn't that suck?
Yeah. Oof. I think we're gonna call it here. We're almost at the 2-hour point. What I'll probably do is, now that I think about it, I'll probably cut out the Stranger Things talk and make that kind of a separate thing, because that went on for quite a while.
But I was a fan of it then. I think this is a good example of what could be done with it. But taking our videos, still throwing them up in the big full version, but chop them up into segments. Have the Stranger Things talk, the dystopian capitalist future talk, and
that's actually we have a couple of videos where I started doing that, and I think this is when I was driving back and forth from Mankato to the cities, and it was like a 15-hour ordeal, and I just didn't have time to do that. Now that I live 10 minutes from work, it's not a big deal anymore.
I did like those little segments. Plus, I feel like we had a little bit more viewer interaction with that. Not to be meta while we're sitting here in the middle of the podcast talking about the podcast. By the way, leave some comments if you have suggestions, thoughts, opinions, or you just
we don't have world-controlling future robot AI genetic algorithms to figure out all this stuff about you for us. We have to actually listen to you. So tell us. We're not going to try and suck money out of you, because we know you don't have any more. Just as long
as you don't ask us to put anything in the show notes. That's the one thing. That's where we draw the line.
So
this is my Alamo.
Shoot us an email at thesecretcallevel@gmail.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on this video, because that works into the YouTube algorithm in some way. Join our Facebook group, facebook.com/thesecretcallevel podcast. We actually have a groups page that you can actually talk to us. Don't ask me what it is, because I do not remember, but I think you can get there from the other Facebook page.
If you're on the page, you can get to, you can find the group.
You can find the group. Yeah.
You're there.
Vice versa.
We'll post things from the page. Pages for links. That's it.
Yeah. So one thing, I am officially getting back into streaming on Twitch. I am going to stream more Magic the Gathering online in preparation for Magic the Gathering Arena, which you can't technically stream until like January, I think, since it's under NDA, but I'm being prepared. So Magic the Gathering Online is hella old and doesn't like to work with most streaming shit, so I gotta figure that out. But so 2 games. I'm going to stream Magic the Gathering Online, and I'm going to be streaming League of Legends. I'm actually going to get back into that. They went through a massive overwork of like their rune system and some other shit too, so it's a lot more beginner friendly to get into it. And after watching League of Legends, I mentioned this before in like a billion podcasts before, but I would like to actually have more in-game knowledge of what's going on, and so I think playing the game or learning what all the things are will help me out with that. So those are the two major games I'm going to be streaming right now: is Magic the Gathering Online and freaking League of Legends.
I knew that the Grand Prix was very recent, or whatever the World Cup was for League of Legends. When's the next live stream of it?
Oh, not until January or February.
Okay, so I would say probably do that, and then we could probably do a shoutcast of the games. Like, I'll jump on and scream at the screen together for a little while. I would be fine with that. I enjoy watching League a heck of a lot more than I do playing it, at least while solo queuing, so
yeah.
I'd be fine with that. Tell us what you think, viewers.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Tell us anything. Let us know if there's actually someone listening.
Donate to the Secret Cow Level podcast.
Well, we got like 70 people like constantly downloaded, so at least 70 people are hearing our voices.
Okay.
Well, 69 because I'm one of the 70.
Yeah, it's
69.
Perfect. It's 60. It's you and one person and 68 Russian bots.
Yep. Knew it. Damn it. Fall for it every time.
So I'm going to be streaming here starting next week, so I got to get layover and shit like that. But starting next week, Magic the Gathering and League of Legends.
I might do something. I might not.
Corey and I might play some more Gigantic. That might happen. Mm-hmm. We actually mentioned actually getting back to 7 Days to Die. If you guys have interested in watching us do that, tell us. If you thought it was horribly boring, we should definitely do anything but that. Tell us.
Well, we had issues where I kept falling through the world, and like there were a bunch of problems.
I was having my memory problems at the time, which may have been influencing me fighting the dev console on a constant basis. Not entirely sure if those were related.
But 3 sessions of that were hilarious for reasons that had nothing to do with the game.
Had nothing to do with the game.
After that, like we had some good sessions of us actually doing things and me stepping on landmines a lot.
Oh yeah.
I guess we could probably just make a new level and try it.
Try again.
Like, up on that fucking crashed airplane.
Yeah.
Like we the episode we found, like our last 2 sessions, we found we saw the airplane crash. Corey and I were actually doing stuff and building things. And we saw the airplane crash on our way to finding the gas station and like Quick Mart. And then the last session we went and raided all 3 of those places and found some shit and they set off to go find that crashed airplane. So,
yeah, it felt pretty nice. Though, I mean, I feel like we stunted ourselves early on, so maybe starting over might be the best choice.
Yeah.
It's true, because it is a time limit. We're going to be like, yeah, we made it to the airplane, we got our stuff, all right, let's head on back, night of day 7. Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fucking fuck. I think we're supposed to have basically a fortress by day 7. So...
Yeah.
And we have a house that's missing 2 doors.
Nice.
Cool.
Anyway, let us know what you think. Tell us fucking anything, please.
Yep. All right. You got anything to plug, Derek?
Nah, I or some of these schmucks might play some more Gigantic or something. I don't know. I'll do something.
Yeah.
Cool.
If I... audio? My audio?
There you go. There you go.
Audio.
You pulled it,
I
Derek.
might stream Melee quickly before I die. Let's wrap it out.
All right. Thank you for listening, watching the episode, and watching. Thank you for listening and watching episode 53 of the Secret Cow Level podcast. You guys have a nice night.
Bye.